So I walked away from the conference and was able to close $15,000 not too long after the conference. Everyone's trying to get on stage to speak, and it is conference season. The first stage that you have that you need to pay attention to is your own stage. Are you showing up for what you believe in? And if you can show what you believe in, then other people can see it as well. Yes, you can speak on a big stage, but those little rooms and workshops and breakout rooms, that's where you can make the most money. If you serve and deliver, people are going to want to work with you, and you're going to walk away with way more than you were even paid if you spoke on a big stage. So I think, let's say, hey guys, hey, welcome. It is Zaylee. I am the host of the Brave on Video podcast, and today I have a bit of a different video episode. If you're listening with audio, then a welcome. If you're listening on YouTube with video, then you can see that I am in the middle of getting ready today, but also share what's on my mind today. I was listening to a podcast from one of my coaches. His name is Colin Boyd. I'm sure you've heard me speak about Colin before. Colin really helped me to perfect my webinar process, my framework process for my business, and just a few other things. He's such an inspiration. Today, I was listening to one of the clips that he uploaded into our program. His program is called Sell from Stage. It's really good. Colin's whole thing is about the power of speaking on stages, but I'm in his kind of mastermind coaching program called Elite, and I'll leave information for that down below if you want to check out his programs. What I kind of got into today was one of the clips that he uploaded into our program. And so one thing that I was thinking about today is how many stages I've spoken on. So in this episode today, I'm going to talk about how I made $10,000 from a stage, and I'm going to share like the situation and how it actually happened. I'm also going to share the power of building an intentional like visual brand. And when you speak on a stage and then people come back and follow you, what that does for the ecosystem of why people want to work with you, especially if you are showing up on camera and you're showing up and serving with your content, like just the beauty of that in itself. And I also want to talk about relationships. One of the members of the coaching program, her name is Amanda Walker. She spoke about relationships, and I want to share my thoughts on relationships and relationships I've built with companies and the trickle down of how that all comes together on camera. Yeah, let's jump into it. I want to start with the fact that I co-created and co-hosted the Think in Color Summit with Thinkific for 4 years, right? It's a summit that I brought the idea to them about amplifying the voices of women of color and just people who are unseen in the online space. And so that turned into a summit that we did annually and all of that jazz. A lot of people know me from working with Thinkific and also being a part of collaborating on that conference. Now I'm sharing that to share. We would choose speakers every year, and there are a few things that I would look at as someone who was approving who spoke on Thinking Color and, all of that jazz, because we would always go through and approve people and, kind of look to see where people are in their journey, who's blah, 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 blah. So I'm also speaking from a lens of doing that. During that summit, we impacted over 30,000 women, and oh my gosh, that's a huge deal. So that kind of brings me to what I want to talk about today. Everyone's trying to get on stage to speak, and it is conference season. The first stage that you have that you need to pay attention to if you are looking to do this to grow your business as well is your own stage. You need to dominate your own stage. You need to be aware of what you are putting out there, because that is one of the things that we always looked at when it came to people in the online space that we wanted to serve our audience at Thinking Color. Who would impact the audience? Who can impact the people that we are bringing to the table? And so because of that, we look at your presence on social media. Of course, I looked for who was on camera, who was actively serving their audience. Are you showing up for what you believe in? And if you can show what you believe in, or, how much you believe in your cause or the passion that you have for what you're doing, then other people can see it as well. Y'all know I love a good Canva graphic, but I do believe that Canva is not able to do that for you, right? So that's the first thing I want to share. So your first stage is your own stage. And so if you're looking to book other stages, you need to amplify your voice on your own stage. The cool thing is your own stage is available to you 24/7. So some time ago, I spoke on a stage, and I know I got that stage because of my visual presence in the online space, right? So those people that booked me for that conference conference knew that I could deliver because they see me deliver every day, all day. Now, here's the beautiful part of what I'm sharing. Now, when that company reached out to me, they had a budget, but it wasn't a huge budget. So I think the budget was around $2,000. Someone else would tell you, like, don't take this opportunity at all. And of course, it depends on where you are in your business. I don't expect someone who's been out there killing it for years and years to take an opportunity like that, right? But if you're looking to grow your business or grow your visibility or, nurture your visibility, and you're building your business, then to me, I know that I'm going in there with the mindset of conversion. Who are the people that might want to work with me? Who are the people that have been following me that might be interested in going to this event and then meeting me in person and potentially working with me? So like I said, this is not for everyone. So at first I was like, $2,000. But then because it was in person, that's the other thing. This was an in-person event. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. When I go to events like that, I look for documentation and content. Like, where can Rio and I get content, get me on stage, get photos, things like that, because I like building my portfolio in that way so that I can show other people where I've been, who I've spoken to, and all that jazz. I was like, okay, we're going to do it. So then they asked me to teach a pre-class to the audience that was going to be there. Now, first of all, I want to say that I wasn't on the main stage. I wasn't on the big stage. And the big stage is what people want to be on. They want to be the keynote speaker. And of course, it depends on where you are in your business when it comes to the big stage and you wanting to be on the big stage, right? But what my coach was sharing just now, and I also resonated with that, is that yes, you can speak on a big stage, but those little rooms and workshops and breakout rooms, that's where you can make the most money, especially in person. And I agree, because when he shared it, I was like, whoa, I literally just made $15,000 from speaking in a workshop setting or a breakout room setting, right? And so in sharing that, I'm going to tell you exactly how. So I wasn't on the big stage. And P.S., I'm also saying this from the perspective of another huge company just asked me to speak at their conference, which is also in person. And I actually asked them for a workshop room, not workout, because of this other experience. So I said 10,000 earlier, and I just remembered it was actually $15,000, right? So I walked away from the conference and was able to close $15,000 not too long after the conference, because I ended up working with 2 people within the conference, right? And then I'm still not even counting the $2,000 that I got paid to go there. Plus, of course, I took care of travel and hotel and all that stuff. So, it's adding up. But what I want to share is within that breakout room or workshop room or whatever you go to do, if you serve and deliver, people are going to want to work with you, and you're going to walk away with way more than you were even paid if you spoke on a big stage. So I think, let's say the people who were on the big stage of that conference that didn't have a large budget were paid like $5,000. I still ended up converting people in that room, for that $5,000. Now, I got sidetracked, but they asked me to do a workshop before I taught. I love that I got to do that workshop before, which was a pre-workshop. It was a live workshop. It was virtual. So literally how I'm with you here right now, if you're watching on YouTube, that's what I was doing. And so I taught that workshop, and I was able to get the vibe of the audience. I was able to ask questions, see where they were struggling, and then craft my talk around that. So that was really good. And honestly, that's something that I might pitch, which is going to add value to companies if they do something like that with me. So I love seeing what works and also seeing how I can build relationship by pitching that same thing to another company. Like, hey, can we do a workshop before? Of course, it adds value to their audience. But the other thing is it gets their audience familiar with me as well. And for them, they're probably looking at it like, whoa, she really wants to teach, or she really wants to be involved with our audience. Because of that workshop, I was able to deliver a stellar workshop in person to their audience. And oh my gosh, that is what allowed me to also walk away with clients from that stage, quote unquote. And so I wanted to share that. Now, the other thing I want to share is that if you teach on a virtual stage or an in-person stage and you get off that stage, the first thing people are going to do is go to your socials. And if your socials have nothing going on, they have no message for your audience, like they get on YouTube, you haven't posted in forever, or they get on whatever platform, Instagram, and you haven't posted in forever, you have no stories, there's nothing for them to indulge in except Canva graphics, of course you're going to struggle to build a relationship with that person. Then they end up following. Sometimes they can't remember what they followed you for. You're inconsistent. You need to think about those things. So even when you are posting on socials and you have posts that no one is liking, or you're really into the algorithm and feeling, really depressed and not good about what you've been creating, I also want you to remember that you are building pieces of a larger puzzle for your business versus just the instant gratification of no one liked my post today. Okay, so I just put on a little lip gloss, but let's talk about visuals. A lot of us aren't paying attention to how powerful or impactful being visual and visible can be in the online space. Because we no longer live in a completely in-person world, it's so important for you to have your visuals together. A lot of people are always asking me, Zaylee, how did you get this opportunity? How did you get that opportunity? Like, how did you work with this company or that company? It's because of my visual presence online. And sometimes I don't want to talk about this because there is just a thought of fast and easy in the online space. And I completely get it. Some people are, having lots of success by showing up with the least input possible or the least effort possible. And that has not been my journey. And even the people that I admire and look at, that has not been their journey either. So I always tell you guys, for me, one thing that stood out to me when I was brand new and I was feeling invisible, you guys know I like saying I went from an invisible brand to an in-demand brand. And one of the things that I realized is the people that I admired and wanted to be like, they were very much active on camera, creating videos. They were very video-based brands, and that inspired my brand a lot. And that's why I believe as a smaller creator, I end up with larger collaborations, working with larger companies and getting access to those companies' audiences, which has definitely been a strategy of mine, right? Being able to show up and show my value, show my knowledge, share my experiences, and companies see that and they're like, oh wait, wow, who is this person and how can we work with her? And that also helps to alleviate the need for me to be, have big numbers or an inflated audience. That is not my brand. The only thing I believe that could be lower quality is the quality of camera that you're using. You don't have to have a fancy camera to make an impact. My journey, I was able to kind of build up to where I am today, but I was visible and I made sure that my brand was very visual. So I knew that I wanted to make sure that I was showing up with my videos. I had great photos. Schedule a brand shoot with a photographer every quarter if you can, or at least twice a year. Update your photos and your photography, update your visuals. That is so impactful. For me, a good visual package when it comes to attracting a high quality audience means that I am investing in those things. And it also means that when we are online or on the internet, it's people's first time meeting us. If it was someone's first time meeting you, how would you want to show up? How would you want to be present for that? It's the same thing with online. I remember one time on a Zoom session, I had a consultation with someone and she showed up in her bonnet in bed, laid out girl, like this, oh my God. Hey girl, she was half asleep and she was like, I was just taking a nap and I totally forgot we had this consultation. And I show up hey, hi, how are you? I'm excited to meet. And of course, that was a total mismatch because she had no respect for my time. She showed up late because she was napping and she just showed up looking unprofessional, not the type of person that I want to work with. Not that I'm judging someone based off of what they look like, but in the real world, this is what we deal with. So it's the same in the online space. space. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is just being able to work with companies and being able to impact their audiences, and also having that be a factor of being chosen to speak on a stage or teach a breakout room or teach a workshop or whatever. I want you to realize that all of these parts are moving parts that go together, and that you need to be mindful of that. Think about your favorite creator, the person you worked with last, the person you paid last. You're seeing them consistently. You built a relationship with them. You probably saw them on camera, with videos, or you probably built up a relationship whether they were live on camera or whatever it was. I want you to think about that and think about your brand and ask yourself, is your brand right now reflective of the people that you buy from, the people that you trust? What is it that you can do better as far as showing up, being visible, and being brave, right? This is the Brave on Video podcast. Obviously, being brave is a huge part of all that we do and all that I talk about. All right, guys, now I'm all ready and I'm about to go film a few other YouTube videos, but I wanted to just tap into this CBT card. And if you don't know what CBT is, it's called cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a deck that I have, and I'll link it down below. It's from Amazon. I'm not a therapist, but I just want to share because I use these cards all the time. They're usually over on my desk, and I always read one every morning because of my past struggle with anxiety, like you guys know. And so this just helps me to reframe my thoughts and just think about things in a different way. And so it says, when you find yourself worrying that something won't turn out well, try making a positive shift in your thinking, right? So instead of assuming the worst, ask yourself, what if this turns out great? Like, whoa, what if this turns out great? Like, I recently shared on Instagram that I started re-recording my camera confidence class which is my signature course, and you could head down below if you want to get on the wait list for when it opens up. But I was starting to think like, oh my gosh, what if this doesn't turn out great, and all of that jazz. And I was able to reframe my thought process and realize, hey, this course has helped so many people. Why do you think now that it's not going to help so many people, right? Just because you're in the process of restructuring and refilming it. Like, as long as the outcome is uncertain, it's better to assume it will go well and focus your attention on what you can actually control. So I want you to think of something right now that you've been probably overthinking, and oh my gosh, start thinking about it in a different way, right? Focus your attention on what you can actually control and assume it goes well, because for some reason in our brains, when we assume something can go really well, it just changes everything. It changes the way that we approach it, the actions that we take. So listen, if you enjoyed this, make sure that you are subscribed. If you're listening to this on the podcast, thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys so much. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.